One of our YouTube viewers, Dusty Workbench, suggested that we make a project using scrap wood, and this worked perfectly since at the time of recording this, we are in mandatory lockdown due to the coronavirus. To start this project off, I locked our table saw fence at about 2 inches. This first cut will establish the overall height of the finished block before it gets shaped. Eric then ran the plywood through the table saw until we no longer had a piece that was wide enough to cut. While he cuts these pieces to size, I want to remind you to check us out over on Instagram at Spencley Design Co. We post tons of behind the scenes photos and videos. Plus, you'll know about all the projects we are working on way before they make it to YouTube. Check us out, and if you like what you see, consider following us. With all the 2-inch wide strips cut, I set them on their side to reveal the plywood layers. This glue up will work best with some parallel or bar clamps, so I set 2 bar clamps on top of our mobile workbench and laid all the pieces down. We picked up this super cute tiny paint roller from our home center for about $3 that comes with a mini tray that we can fill up with glue. The only reason we are using a roller is because it will make the glue process much faster. If you don't have one, no problem, just use your finger to spread the glue around. After applying a liberal amount of glue to the entire surface, we set the pieces back up on their sides to press all the glue surfaces together. In order to minimize waste, we set a carpenter square on top and staggered the plywood strips to a 45-degree angle and clamped it all together. Try to avoid over-tightening your clamps because you'll risk bowing your plywood strips, which will mess up the design further into the project. That was our first mistake on this project. However, make sure you use plenty of clamps so there are no voids inside the blank.
A few hours later, we came back to remove all the clamps. As you can see, we did not do the best job at keeping everything perfectly flat, so Miranda had to grab a random orbital sander to flatten everything out. And that was our second mistake on this project. There we go, that looks much better now. Over at the table saw, I grabbed our stock miter gauge from the top drawer of our mobile table saw cart and I inserted that into the miter slot. I loosened the angle knob and set the miter gauge to 45 degrees. And for mistake number 3, I had the miter gauge on the wrong side of the blade, so I had to move it to the other side of the table saw. And mistake number 4, clamping the block like that is not going to work. There you go. Now with the block securely clamped to the miter gauge, I slowly ran it through a table saw to create a clean 45-degree cut on the plywood block. I then brought the table saw fence back out and I set it up for about 3/4 of an inch. Now this cut will determine how small your squares are. If you make wider cuts here, the final square in the pattern will be much larger. This is just a measurement you can play around with and see which shape you end up liking the best. While I cut these strips down, I want to remind you to consider supporting our channel if you're enjoying this video. The easiest thing you can do is click that like button down below. But if you're really enjoying this project, consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon down below. That helps grow our community and gets the small channel of only 301 subscribers at the time of recording out to more viewers. That way we can make even more free project videos. No pressure, but thanks for the consideration. With all those strips cut down, we flipped every other piece to create this herringbone pattern. We followed the same steps as before, but this is where you can start to mess things up and get pieces out of place, so be careful when you're flipping the pieces over for the glue up. For this glue up, we decided to try covering the surface with glue instead of using the paint tray. It was actually kind of easier and it looks cool, so I guess that's a double win. We then brought out that tiny roller once again to evenly spread the glue around. We can then build the pattern up once again and make another mistake. For mistake number 5, don't apply glue to the outsidemost piece. Our clamp stuck like crazy to that one. And if you wanted to, you could actually stop here if you really like this pattern, but we're going to let this dry, go one step further and make some more cuts.
After letting the glue dry for another few hours, we removed the clamps. And for mistake number 6, we didn't have a flat surface, so we had to sand it yet again. Eric grabbed our crosscut sled, which we will link a full build video up in the cards and in the description below. I then cut the extra scrap hanging off the side, being careful not to cut too much off. I set our Cat's Moses stop block on the sled to about 3/4 of an inch, which is the same size we cut the strips on the last step, and ran the block through the table saw. Once my hand was getting too close to the saw blade for my comfort, Eric took over and held the block down with a scrap 2x4 until all the pieces were cut down to size. And of course we took this opportunity to shoot some hoops. Same thing as before, we flipped every other strip to reveal this awesome square pattern. Then my favorite part, glue time. We used the adorable roller once again to spread the glue around. We really wanted to make sure that every tiny surface was covered in glue because we don't want this blank to shatter when we start carving everything. We set all the pieces up and carefully made sure all the lines in the plywood met up correctly and then applied clamping pressure. You guessed it, we let the block sit overnight again to let the glue cure.
We came back out to the shop the next day to remove all of the clamps, and this is probably our best glue up yet. So maybe we're improving. Although I'll still chalk it up as mistake number 7 though. It still wasn't flat. Anyway, we need the bottom to be nice and flat so the spoon holder doesn't rock. So I grabbed the belt sander again and flattened one of the sides. It was during this project that we realized that we need to add way more T-track to our workbench to better hold pieces like this in the future and not have this awkward setup here.
All right, so now that we've got our plywood blank finished and the pattern's all set, we're gonna make a rough outline of what we want the spoon holder to look like.
Miranda grabbed a can of stain that we had laying around to use as a reference for the circle and then started sketching out how she wanted it to look in pencil so that she could adjust the shape if needed later. Once the shape was finalized, she came back with a Sharpie to make the outline much easier to see.
We can then take our angle grinder and a flap disc and start carving this whole block out. And yes, before you leave a comment, we know that they do make specific wood carving discs, but since we're in the coronavirus quarantine right now, we can't leave, so we have to deal with what we got in the shop, and that's a flap disc. Actually, we've got a lot of flap discs, like a lot. Now, if you don't know what a flap disc is, it's basically a small disc like this that goes on your angle grinder that just has a million layers of sandpaper. And just like typical sandpaper that you'd see, you can get all these discs in a variety of grits. So we've got 60, 80, 120, and then we got a couple other grits in this box here. And like I said earlier, basically what this flap disc is just a small disc that's got a million little pieces of sandpaper on it. So when it spins like this, all the flaps of sandpaper are going to start grinding away whatever is underneath.
The angle grinder makes pretty quick work of removing a lot of wood at once. One tip we want to share is that you really don't need to press down super hard. Just let the disc do all the work. Plus, it's really easy to gouge the wood and that'll be really hard to fix if you dig in too hard. Now you probably noticed the insane amount of dust coming off the angle grinder. This process is incredibly dusty and you need to make sure that you're protected with a respirator on.
Yeah, and maybe consider better eye protection.
But to take things one step further, we also turned on our DIY air purifier that we finally put up in the ceiling. There's a link to this project video up in the cards as well as the description down below. So if you work on a project that's super dusty, give this a try and let us know how it works for you. While we finish shaping the spoon holder, we want to hear from you. What kind of projects do you want to see from us in the future? Leave us a comment down below and we might feature your comment in one of our future videos. We thought this would be a fun way to make our viewers feel more in touch with our project builds. We're super excited to hear some of your awesome ideas.
Once I finished the rough shaping with a flat disc on the angle grinder, I brought out the belt sander. This probably isn't the way you traditionally see one of these used, but flipping it upside down and clamping it to our mobile workbench works great for applications like this. With an 80 grit belt, I was able to have a little more control sanding all the contours down to the shape I wanted them, but it was still rough enough to remove stock fairly quickly. Speaking of sanding, once we were finished up with the belt sander, I grabbed our random orbit sander. This gave me even more control to work over all the edges to produce even curves and really round things over. Now, time for some finish. Just kidding. The last thing I needed to do was sand any ridges left on the interior down by hand. Before starting the project, we researched some specialty tools specifically made for wood carving, and they seemed a little unnecessary. After experimenting with wood carving, we definitely understand why they would be valuable. Now, it's time to see that pattern pop with a little bit of finish. Since we're going to be setting food utensils on this, we needed a food grade finish. We decided to use butcher block oil. It's a blend of mineral oil, beeswax, and carnauba wax, so it's safe for food contact. And best of all, it's incredibly easy to apply. Just wipe on a thick layer, let it sit for 20 minutes, and then wipe off the excess. Repeat this process 3 to 4 times and you're done. Although I made a bunch of mistakes, this is my favorite project that we've worked on so far. I loved carving the wood and watching the pattern come to life.